In Florida, scientists say time is running out for a vital waterway now so polluted that soon the damage could be irreversible.
A severe outbreak of a toxic algae bloom known as red tide is killing off Florida manatees in record numbers. The algae has been blamed for killing more than 200 manatees since the start of the year. The number breaks the previous record of 151 deaths set in 1996. The bloom of algae spread from Sarasota to Fort Myers, the exact area where these mammals migrate for the winter. According to NPR, the algae is impossible to contain or control. It occurs naturally every year along Florida's coast and even off California and along the Gulf of Mexico. It's unknown as to why this year's algae bloom is so deadly. The New York Times suggests phosphorus runoff from fertilized farms and lawns could have contributed.
Thousands protested along the Indian River Lagoon this weekend, fighting to get attention for the dying estuary and East Coast threat. We get more tonight from NBC's Mark Potter.
The environmental threat that has scientists and residents on high alert covers about a third of Florida's East Coast. Inshore waters that draw millions of tourist dollars a year are now fouled with pollution and invasive algae. Some areas so toxic that health officials urge people to stay out of the water to avoid infections, rashes, and nausea.
It's not only beyond critical, it's disastrous. It's outrageous. People are outraged.
Mary Radabaugh manages a boat repair marina in Stuart, Florida.
Everybody is very concerned about touching the water.
She took these pictures of noxious algae by her dock.
It burns your eyes, your throat. It has a lot of different uncomfortable effects.
The troubled area is the 156-mile-long Indian River Lagoon system. Home to 4,300 plants and animal species, it is one of America's most vital estuaries. For years, scientists say, the lagoon has been filling up with fertilizers and sewage from agriculture, lawns, and septic tanks, feeding algae, killing wildlife.
We're messing with Mother Nature.
Most people are staying away. In the South Lagoon area, scientists say the natural balance is upset by polluted freshwater being released from Lake Okeechobee to keep it from overflowing. In the North Lagoon, researchers are trying to explain why an unusually high number of manatees, dolphins, and pelicans have died this year. Federal and state plans to protect the lagoon by redirecting water flows and removing nutrients are not yet fully funded.
I'm angry. It needs to be fixed. It's not it's not rocket science. There are solutions. They're all political solutions.
Scientists warn efforts to protect the lagoon must begin soon before it's too late to save this treasured water.
Florida is one big aquatic ecosystem. Rivers, lakes, streams, and estuaries. That's what Florida's about. And what's happened is its beauty attracted its destruction. Of a specific limit is just like putting a camera on stoplights. The sewage companies many times need upgrades that should have been done 20 years ago. And you find farmers, agribiz, they just don't stop at red lights ever, and that's what the camera shows.
I'm standing on the edge of Indian River Lagoon, and this is the most diverse wildlife estuary in North America. It's located at the meeting of two climates, the tropical and the temperate. Both temperate from the north, tropical from the south. They both have their animals here in Indian River Lagoon. And then the lagoon, being between the ocean and the rivers, fluctuates in how salty the water is. So the changing salinity and the changing climate makes this the most diverse habitat, one of the most diverse habitats in the world. And we are upset about this green slime that is coming up on the rocks, and it is being fed by nitrogen that's coming off the land. And the nitrogen is coming from Lake Okeechobee in that direction. It's also coming from some septic and sewage, but they're pretty good about fixing that problem. What remains a problem is fertilizer coming off the land. And the ag businesses are pretty good about not putting too much fertilizer down. And the golf courses are exemplary. The secret is, the successful thing to do is to use slow release nitrogen, at least 50% in the spring, and that'll feed your lawn all the way through. And don't put any down during what we call the fertilizer holiday, June 1st to September 30th.
So what is the actual value of soil organic matter? It does have a value. Now, worldwide, we're losing about 75 billion tons of soil on an annual basis, but today we've inched back up in our loss here in the U.S., and we're losing about 6.9 billion tons total, okay? As a result, this causes farmers to have to spend about $20 billion a year to make up for the loss of nutrients that are carried away by erosion. So again, healthy soil overall performs 5 vital functions that we need. It regulates water, it sustains plant and animal life, it filters pollutants, cycles nutrients, and supports structure, our plants. Water retention is one of the greatest benefits that we get when we build soil organic matter, okay? Soil organic matter is a very crucial storehouse for moisture. As organic matter increases from 1 to 3%, water holding capacity in that soil literally doubles, okay? And that's regardless of the type of soil or the soil texture. For every 1% increase in soil organic matter, water holding capacity increases an average of 3.2 times. Now, what about the role of microbes in doing this then? What function do they play in helping retain moisture in the soil? Well, one of the things that they do is they produce glomalin, okay, which is described as a soil glue. And basically, arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi are one of the major contributors to the production of this soil glue, okay? Now, what this soil glue does is it creates soil aggregates. And as we aggregate soil particles, then we create, by the very nature of it, many more microchannels, okay, or pores that allow that water to penetrate into the ground. The soil glue reduces ponding and runoff. Some of the slides that Bob showed earlier this morning very clearly indicated that. Without these underground highways or microchannels that are created by glomalin and the resultant soil aggregation, crops will require more fertilizer for the same yield, okay? The soil glue and the soil aggregation slows down the rate of water entering the aggregate, okay? It becomes a soil carbon vault, and this is where many of our slow-acting microbes actually reside or live. Additional roles, for instance, our fungal hyphae create fine roots, okay? Now, how does this help us in water retention? Well, what those fine roots are more efficient at grabbing and retaining nutrients, okay? They require less carbon as fuel. So you can think of it as better miles per gallon, okay? They unlock chemical bonds to release vital nutrients, and they actually take up phosphorus 6 times faster than the root hairs, okay? And they connect roots from different plants so that they can transfer nutrients more efficiently. What about the ability to control water runoff through building soil organic matter? Well, we know that if we have 2% soil organic matter, 1 acre of soil will hold approximately 32,000 gallons of water, or 21% of a 10-year storm, okay? 5% organic matter will hold 80,000 gallons of water, or 53% of a 10-year storm. 8% organic matter will hold 85% of a 10-year storm. So an enormous difference. As we build soil organic matter, we effectively reduce the impact of drought. We can't control when drought comes, when drought happens, but we can certainly play a role in controlling the severity of that drought.